Hi and welcome back to a new video. So we did this review about the AlphaCool Apex metal fan, and then after I published my video and now other reviews are out, we know that something was wrong with Igor's Labs review. And I didn't plan to have a video about this, but there was a statement from Pascal, that is the guy who works for Igor's Lab and also did the testing for the review. And that was probably one of the worst statements I've ever seen. I did the video in German because also his statement was in German, and I thought reacting on it or like commenting on it would be a little bit difficult to digest this into an English video. So we tried something else, which is the following stuff that you will see is fully AI translated. Something I didn't do so far. It's a little bit odd sometimes here and there, but I think it should be fine for you to get the context. And yeah, that's something, a way we can try to also get these videos in English if it's difficult otherwise I will still do them natively. But yeah, enjoy the video and please give me some feedback about, first of all, obviously the entire Igor's Labs statement thing, but then also what do you think about the AI translation. Greetings to all, welcome back to yet another video. This time we'll be discussing the AlphaCool Apex metal fan once more, not delving too much into the fan itself, but rather focusing on the effects and outcomes of my extensive test. Because a few days ago we had posted a test online where I thought something was wrong, and that turned out to be true. Because my findings differed significantly from the results presented by Igor's Lab. And at that moment it was not entirely clear if it was due to my findings. Is it due to his results? And now we are slightly more intelligent, and it has undergone significant development. There was an incredibly peculiar statement video, and I absolutely have to say something about it because I have never experienced anything quite like this in the industry, I truly believe. But to catch you up a bit, I would like to give you some information in advance so that you don't have to read everything completely. AlphaCool has already shown the Apex Stealth Metal fan during Computex, but on the 9th. In October, there was a preview test of a fan at Igor's Lab, which was not a production sample, so not directly from the regular production, but a sample for preview. And there, the fan was referred to as a revolution in the fan market. And there were formulations like, now the competitors have to be very brave, or for 30 euros AlphaCool offers an unbeatable offer with the Apex Stealth Metal fan. Below, for example, it said in the summary, high volumetric airflow, solid static pressure, perfect for radiators. And in the end, the AlphaCool Apex Stealth Metal fan is currently simply the best fan on the market. Already on the first day, there were, I don't want to say criticism, but questions that arose about Igor's test in the forum. Because there were still a few inconsistencies. Among other things, for example, when you simply look at the graphics of the Apex metal fan on a 25mm radiator versus a 60mm radiator and also simply installed in the case. There, among other things, it could be seen that the fan in the housing is supposed to have an airflow of 78 MeV3 per hour, and on a 60mm radiator 75.3 per hour. So we are talking about a variance of 3 cubic meters here, from having no resistance to being placed on a 60mm radiator. That is a large amount. This is a challenging resistance for any typical fan. And in addition, the airflow was greater with the 60mm radiator compared to the 25mm radiator. One has to wonder, that is strange. How can more air suddenly pass through a larger radiator with more resistance than through a 25mm thick radiator? And numerous individuals have expressed this regarding Igor Imfrom. Many individuals. And the criticism was generally disregarded or frequently ignored, often not even acknowledged or addressed directly. It went on till the 11th and 12th of DEC, when my test went live, and also a test from Hardware Busters. And that simply didn't align with what Igor demonstrated. For instance, in the case of Igor, we experienced a 130% increase in airflow with a 45mm radiator in comparison to a highly efficient Noctua fan. We already tested that in my video. Normally it's like that, even though I haven't measured any airflow, just the temperature. It is simply the case that a higher airflow in an air cooler or on a radiator directly translates into enhanced performance and improved overall efficiency. So you can push more air through the radiator, then the radiator can also dissipate more heat. That's logical. This is physics. There's little to say against it. Igor rightly pointed out that my results with the radiator aren't directly comparable to his, as the fin density differed for me. However, the outcome is implausible because we are referring to 13 fins per inch and 15 fins per inch. That's just a small difference. This is not half or somehow 100% difference in the density of fins. This is a very, very small difference. Hence, it is still not plausible with a different density of fins. At the time of my video, I pointed out that there were significant differences between my tests and his tests, and based on this simple factual situation, I could not say whether he made a serious mistake or I made a serious mistake, because there were two tests and one must consider more than just two results. Even though his results were not necessarily plausible on paper, it is simply not enough to draw a reasonable conclusion. The problem with the whole story, however, is that AlphaCool during this period from the 9th, Oct, until the 12th deck, and later, yes, many pre-orders have been accepted for this fan. Not only in Germany, but also globally. This means that hundreds and thousands of people have pre-ordered this fan because it is claimed to be the best fan in the world. And that is of course critical, because you can assume that if hundreds of people order such a fan, probably thousands, they will spend 30 euros per fan, in the belief of purchasing the finest fan, which in reality may turn out to be inferior to the fan they already possess. And that is merely a problem, because as a tester, you have a responsibility to ensure that what you say corresponds accurately to the reality at hand. Then, for example, it was added that other tests were further delayed. AlphaCool said this in a small comment on the Hardware Lux forum, that because of some issue with the fans, additional tests that are independent are being postponed. I also obtained my fans at a later time than originally agreed upon, because there was simply a problem with the initial samples or products that were provided. That happens. That's not a big point of criticism at first. But of course, this means that this test by Igor, which may have been faulty or is now quite likely to be faulty, simply leads to many people pre-ordering for a very long time, believing that the fan is better than it actually is. And if I currently mention Igor, it is also somewhat problematic, because it has been demonstrated over time that the test outcomes in Igor's laboratory's article did not originate from Igor, but from his employee Pascal. And Igor wrote the article under his name. So when you go to the article, Igor is mentioned at the top, so you assume that it comes from him. He also writes in between that he writes in the first person, that he has tested many fans in between. That's why it was a bit vague, and in between not necessarily clear, but now there are also other results, as an example from Swiglockers. Moreover, they have a rather good reputation and did not rate the fan as well. They gave advice against buying this fan. There is a relatively practical article available from GameStar. There, the fan is rated moderately, I would say, as an actually quite quiet fan, but it doesn't necessarily perform that well. Similar to me, he was, let's say, 2 to 4, 5 degrees Celsius lower in temperature on the Noctua air cooler compared to the standard Noctua fan. Hardware Busters, they also have a very, very good reputation, then also wrote that they expected more from the fan, and that in no way can one speak of a revolution in the fan market here. So far, so good. It is becoming apparent that something is definitely wrong with the measurements shown on EgoSlab. And if you now perhaps come up with the idea, hey, EgoSlab was in some way compensated for by AlphaCool, I can inform you that is entirely ridiculous. Something like that, even if many people keep writing something like that and like to bring in a little, let's say, conspiracy theories, something like that doesn't happen in our industry. I can tell you how it is. I've been doing this for too long. For that, I know everyone and their dog. I also know AlphaCool and Igor. Neither one nor the other would do something like that because AlphaCool would make itself blackmailable, vulnerable for a lifetime. Igor would risk his entire existence. Why would he do something like that? That is absurd. Something like this doesn't happen. No one does that. That it was paid very easily, as no one tested anything wrong or embellished it. So from my point of view, it is probably a technical error or it was not tested properly. The test setup is wrong, but I'm pretty sure no one got paid. The complete problem is actually the manner in which you handle it, the manner in which you deal with having made a mistake. And that's also an issue for AlphaCool. AlphaCool now has a PR problem because there is a video of me and all the forum posts. You can find them on the PC Games Hardware forum, Hardware Lux, Computer Base, or any other relevant platform. Yes, the response to the fans and the test results is extremely poor, which of course leads to cancellations at AlphaCool and also creates a negative image that the fan will most likely have for an indefinite period of time. What I wonder, for instance, about AlphaCool or regarding the part of AlphaCool, I have no answer for that. Regrettably, no time to ask AlphaCool. It's 11 p.m. now. I'll swiftly finish the video later in the evening. And the issue I observe is that Igor presented his findings, and AlphaCool also replied in Igor's online discussion forum. Furthermore, AlphaCool was completely cognizant of the findings that Igor presented. The query remains as to whether AlphaCool lacks the necessary apparatus to conduct such testing in order to ascertain the veracity of the claims and instead relied solely on Igor's results, deeming them impressive and subsequently initiating pre-orders. In this particular instance, AlphaCool would not truly be at fault. Conversely, a manufacturer who produces such a product is actually obligated to assess it themselves, and subsequently, one should genuinely observe that the outcomes are not accurate, they are significantly too elevated, and then it is not equitable to the customers if you promote something of that nature, because AlphaCool initially promoted with these measurements from Igor. Meanwhile, this marketing material has been discontinued by AlphaCool, and they are now advertising with the results from Hardware Busters, which I just mentioned. So with the fan test results. Accordingly, they have taken a slight step back in their position. That is also something AlphaCool needs to consider in terms of their future plans. However, that is not the primary focus of the current discussion. However, what is even more important is the response of the individuals, which has been overwhelmingly negative in all of the forums. Clearly, some or many have pre-ordered the fan. If you just go to the forums, as I said, I'll put links to them in the description. These are hundreds and thousands of comments. Read through it, you can form your own opinion of this whole situation. They are not offensive, but of course disappointing and have harsh criticism regarding the handling of the whole thing. And it doesn't matter. As I said, whether you visit PC Games Hardware, Hardware Looks, Computer Base or Igor's Lab. There was also a topic with about 1,000 comments. However, it is important to note that despite the numerous publications from various review websites, Igor's Lab initially lacked any awareness of the issues that had occurred. Particularly not from Pascal, who tested the identical thing, who also authored it, so temperature, actual tests that will never occur in this place. However, it was stated that one is fully convinced that everything has been done correctly here, and after extensive criticism, there was indeed a statement at Igor's Lab, and that was also very challenging, I must say, very, very peculiar. This was also perceived very critically by everyone else or by many others. I'll also put that in the description below for you. To summarize briefly, Igor spoke very critically about his employee Pascal there and also in the comments below, which have now been deleted, by the way. All comments under the statement were subsequently removed and the comment function was deactivated. What I also find to be highly critical, because it just has the vibe for me that someone wants to hide or conceal something. And Igor, for example, said that Pascal made some serious mistakes, which were not necessarily described in detail, but the comments are already very difficult. And he writes there, for example, about simple copy-paste errors, where I'm not certain if he copied the wrong values, but it is clear and apparent that something went wrong and didn't go as intended there. And Igor promises in this statement transparent clarification, and that he has since handed over the test machine with which the air was tested to another employee, Fritz, so that he can test it independently again to verify the results. So far so good. That is actually the good part of it. The funny part about it is, if you consider Igor's Lab as a company, it's not really a company, but rather a one-man show with people helping him in the background. Nonetheless, it is incredibly peculiar when the boss humiliates an employee in a public manner, so to speak, which is highly unusual. Normally you don't do that, so I know that too. If someone messes up at Audi and there are recalls for a car, Audi doesn't stand there and say employee XY assembled something wrong here. You simply do not do that. Igor appears to have had reasons to preserve his reputation. I additionally spoke to him regarding it. However, he requested that I refrain from disclosing certain particulars. I deeply value his wish and will also remain silent. You can, as I mentioned, develop your own viewpoint regarding this situation by means of the comments, which were openly published. According to Igor, Pascal was relieved of his task in the article and practical tests were promised, which Pascal explicitly denied before, stating that something like this would never happen. Quote, "We don't do temp tests, we've never and will never. The issue from my POV is not so much about identifying a mistake, but rather about how to handle it." And he really is. So you know the Linus Tech Tips drama, that was already bad, dealing with problems. But here, from my perspective, this is a completely different level. Truly, I mean, from a PR standpoint, it could not have been done any worse. Really then, to publicly involve some drama of the employees and then also delete the comments, deactivate it afterwards. And for example, on the homepage, the article was initially at the front because the homepage is normally sorted chronologically, and suddenly the statement was no longer sorted chronologically, but a bit smaller further down, so that maybe it is not found so easily anymore. If you're wondering how I came up with something like that, I didn't come up with it myself, but I just saw it either on Hardware Lux or on PC Games Hardware. The comments were disabled and the ranking, the chronological order was changed. So this is not even a speculation from me, but just something that I noticed because others have written it. So it's not just me alone, but there are 100 others who also see significant problems there. And when you look at the transparent clarification again, it's all a bit difficult for me. Well, I think it's not so transparent. One could definitely have worked better, but the actual reason why I'm making this video today is actually a completely different one. Because Pascal uploaded a statement video today and that really surpasses everything. I have truly witnessed a plethora of negative statements in the YouTube profession and over time. But I would say that definitely belongs in the top 3, if not even top 1, of the worst statements I have ever seen when it comes to criticism. Really. So I received it first from Fritz, so from the other employee of Igor. Then I looked at it and I really asked him if they were serious about it. So I said, if the statement goes online like this, then it's game over, you can't do that. Then I talked to Igor. I also told him this is absolutely unacceptable. And Igor just said that he can't stop Pascal from making such a statement. I see that absolutely differently. He should have prevented that from my point of view. At least he should have done everything for it because that's what was said there. I really have no words. And I watched it twice before I also wrote to Pascal. And the worst part is that Pascal does not see the mistakes at all. Not at all. He does not even comprehend in the slightest that what he is saying and what he actually believes is simply a tremendous problem, particularly for someone in such a position of authority. However, let's simply delve into this statement now, which has a total duration of 25 minutes in its entirety. By the way, at the time of this video, when I initially wrote down 6 pages here, it takes a little time, then this video was taken offline, but you know how it is on the internet. Pascal had posted it himself in various forums such as PC Games Hardware, Hardware Lux, and probably also in his own forum, I don't know. However, the video is already back online, re-uploaded by someone else, that's the reality. If hundreds of people have seen it on the internet, it stays there. That's just how it is. And he himself explicitly said in the video that the video can be spread further. I will show you that later, accordingly. We will now discuss that. It's not possible to watch it every 25 minutes, but you can watch it in full if you prefer. I'll send you the link and include it. First, let's see a part.
Many then said we also wrote in pre-order starts. And many have understood, oh yes, there is advertising active. You have to buy it, it's the coolest fan ever. Because we wrote revolution in the fan market. A multitude of individuals do not comprehend the significance of that. It is exceedingly straightforward. A great number of people now evaluate the entire thing based on temperature values or performance values. No, it has nothing to do with the revolution in the fan market. There is simply much more to do. First of all, AlphaCool has released a metal frame with this fan. They have conducted several tests with different materials. And in the end, a material was found that has an extremely high density. And this density is conducive to the absorption of vibrations. What this fan also does very well. Therefore, as you can see, we don't have any decoupling rubbers here, neither in the front nor in the back. Display a fan excluding inexpensive fans or any other items. You don't need that either, but most premium fans simply have a decoupling rubber. This fan doesn't need it because the frame already absorbs vibration. However, the revolution in this fan is found in the decoupling mechanism implemented. This decoupling mechanism ensures a separation between the frame and the motor frame, which is a significant innovation. This is a revolution. Not just the performance values, but so much more. It's a regular 9-blade fan with a closed frame, but there's a lot more expertise and knowledge incorporated into it.
Now, there is a significant reversal of opinion here. Firstly, it is the revolution in the fan market, and it is mentioned multiple times in the article that the other competitors have to dress warmly, and here there is an additional 130% increase in volume chrome from the fan, and it is considered the best fan in the world, and it is truly exceptionally good. It is listed everywhere, but the revolution is not the performance. It is not that the fan is quiet, but the revolution of the fan is that it has metal parts here. Pascal, do you want to tell me that now? And in Igor's article, it says that the material, which, by the way, according to Igor's analysis, is brass, is not rocket science material, but Igor himself then did a material analysis, and there is copper zinc. Yes, copper zinc. It is brass, there is nothing special about it. And Igor writes that it has 2.5% better damping properties than aluminum. Seriously, do you want to tell me that the entire article's structure, the fan market revolution, is meant to be the 2.5% improvement in damping by using brass in the fan?
There is also no cheap 4-pole motor in the 6-pole motor separation. And these are the things that people don't understand about a revolution.
FYI, a 6-pole motor, be quiet, already had it in the Silent Wings 3 years ago. This is also not a revolution.
We are being accused of having purchased only this fan due to our review and our pre-purchase examination of potential pests. People, it does not state anywhere from us, you must purchase this fan now, you will get the coolest fan in the world. None of us said that.
So if I remember correctly, the article states that the AlphaCool South Metal fan is the best fan on the market. Point. And if you write something like this in an article, it logically leads to an increase in pre-orders. When I express that it is the coolest, the best cooler ever manufactured, that is absolutely logical and makes perfect sense in every way. How can an individual be so unaware of their own responsibility? And what kind of effect does such a statement have on those who hear it?
Ultimately, neither we nor Patelli Chinese have managed to convince you to visit the AlphaCool shop, use your mouse to click on the product and place the order yourself. If you do not like this fan, simply send it back or cancel it. What harm has been caused to you? Alright, Kaya, we're simply discussing a fan, nothing else.
And that's the problem. People spend 30 euros on a fan, and they usually don't just buy one, but maybe a radiator with 2, 3 or 2 radiators. Sometimes they spend more than 100 euros to purchase a fan that might be inferior in performance compared to the fan they already possess. If they possess a Fantix T30 or the Noctua fan on it, they might opt to exchange the fan and experience a decline in performance compared to their previous state. And you do not see where your responsibility lies when customers spend hundreds of euros to purchase something that is worse than what they already possess. I'm truly stunned.
That began after Roman's video. This is not, and I state it very clearly, it is not hatred towards Roman, not in any way. Roman measured to the best of his knowledge and belief as he deems to be right and appropriate. Either I or we from the laboratory of Igor have measured it in the manner that we believe is correct. Roman has conducted temperature measurements. In principle, one could make a slight comparison between the entire process and that of a tractor. A trackster car. These are highly bred cars with 5,000 horsepower or so, and this is how you can imagine it now. We at Igor's lab have certified this fan with our core values and our signature box, as it boasts an impressive 5,000 horsepower. With our box, because our measurements have always been accurate. That there are now other circumstances to consider, especially for this fan, is debatable, but our measurements were accurate at that time. So we certify this fan with 5,000 horsepower. Now Roman comes and does a completely different test. He does not conduct a performance test utilizing airflow, pressure, and dBA, but rather simply evaluates the impact of this 5,000 HP engine on a radiator or the temperature during the testing process. What happened? These 5,000 horsepower is like on a trackster. You step on the gas and he starts spinning because he can't get the power on the road at first. That is precisely what occurred here. This fan has 5,000 horsepower, but under certain conditions, it cannot deliver power to the road now. However, people don't understand that.
I must say, the engineer in me just died a little bit. Thus, the fan is extremely strong. Yes, the fan is extremely strong to such an extent that performance can't be done. That means he's very strong. He can't breathe anymore. The radiator or air cooler. So he is so good, but the air simply cannot convert. I would like to have a physical explanation for that. This definitely requires a new Nobel Prize.
There are numerous individuals out there who currently just observe, oh yes, this fan. It's not that great because the temperatures aren't right. You simply have to imagine that. Due to 2 degrees, individuals are currently screaming in this location. What are 2 degrees? Neither your central processing unit nor your graphics processing unit are interested in these 2 degrees. Your CPU is not worse or does not hold the clock or anything else. This is complete nonsense.
In the enthusiast area, many products operate within 2 degrees Celsius. Take a look at a water cooler. By the way, the AlphaCool Core 1 test conducted by Igor Slab was also subject to heavy criticism. Who made it? Pascal. What happened there? He was discussed on all possible platforms. I don't want to say torn apart this test, but also heavily debated. Because, for example, the cooler was 12 degrees better too. If he was half a degree better in reality. And to come back to these 2 degrees Celsius, that is a temperature difference that you have with thermal pastes, that you have with fans, because nowadays the products are partly extremely well matured. And at this very moment, Igor's lab is beautifully decorated. One can handle it because one is capable. The best or the most reliable measurements are provided, and it is frequently compared to others. Also pulled or said, so yes, they are not as good as we are. And all of a sudden, 2 degrees Celsius do not matter anymore, which are so relevant in all of these tests. That doesn't make any sense.
This can have a multitude of differences, various reasons why these tests turn out differently than they do when conducted by us. And you all must gradually comprehend that, even individuals who simply do not understand it. It is not possible for you to take Roman's test and project it onto us, and we will not take our test and project it onto Roman. We are committed to maintaining the integrity of our own assessments. All individuals were tested accurately in their respective manners.
And I would definitely disagree with that. How can one still be so incapable of criticism and simply not accept that one has simply made a mistake at this stage, where many independent testers have provided evidence to support the opposite conclusion? You only need to say so, yeah, something went wrong. We take the test offline, we are testing this new. We test it in a practical manner and immediately, because I took my test within a period of 1 or 2 days. Take fan, place on radiator, place on air cooler, test again. Because if you simply state it at this moment, we take test chamber, put fan back in and test. New, that doesn't change anything. Then you still have exactly the same as before. Then the outcome is likely still incorrect, I just don't comprehend it.
What Roman said at the end, that's the only thing I blame him for at the end of the video, that he's a bit unsure whether Igor's values fit or not. Seriously, he should have also taken into account, yes, wait a minute, they have a completely different test setup compared to what I did. Perhaps he should have possibly been a bit more neutral. He simply had to say, yes, there are different tests, but there are also other values, and you simply cannot put them together in a straightforward manner. Interestingly, there are numerous individuals out there who appear to comprehend that. However, the individuals who lack understanding are precisely the ones who are currently criticizing in forums, criticizing in videos, doubting everything, making statements like, Jago is a fraud, Pascal is a fraud, he has only lead or manipulated, and so forth. Similarly, Igor also issued a statement on Saturday, and individuals interpreted it in that manner. And that is also something I do not comprehend, that individuals can read a text and not have the ability to understand what was truly conveyed in that text. That being said, it was not Pascal who made a mistake or manipulated anything else. He simply stated that Pascal measured the thing to the best of his knowledge without any errors or manipulation on Pascal's part. Perhaps one should have double-checked it. Perhaps certain things should have been noticed, but they are not. Why also? Because my last 50 tests have been successful. Therefore, and the process is always the same. He didn't bash me and didn't do anything else. The reason why he pulled me out of the thing with the fans now is for protection. Because he also simply says he doesn't understand why I'm being bashed for something I can't help.
And of course, 50 tests qualify before the 51st. Test is always correct. That is very clear, the measure of things. Do one more test then. Is that definitely correct?
I am aware that's a fan. I mean, this is a fan. That doesn't make you healthy. It doesn't bring you a livelihood. I have no clue. Why are individuals shedding tears over a fan at this moment? This is simply ridiculous in my perspective.
Maybe because hundreds and even thousands of people probably pre-ordered the fan, generating thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of euros in revenue from a fan that is proven to simply not be the best fan in the world. And it is simply incomprehensible to me how someone in such a position can act so incredibly irresponsibly and just shit so hard on people's money. As a reviewer, you also have a responsibility to ensure that the results and recommendations you provide are appropriate and suitable. And that's exactly what I've been trying to explain to Pascal several times now, and he just doesn't understand it. He always justifies himself with attacks to which he is exposed due to his article. But he doesn't even see the mistake or the problem. Even though I have written it to him 3 times, he does not see the problem. And as I mentioned, I also spoke with Igor about it, and in Igor's article, or more precisely in the statement, it was stated that Pascal is currently on leave. He then clearly stated again that Pascal was not fired. Pascal will continue to test for him. And I do not understand. If an individual acts like this and then makes mistakes that have a real impact, even for companies like AlphaCool simply saying, yes, they continue testing anyway, it is difficult to comprehend their reasoning and decision-making process. Perhaps there are no fans, but then he simply employs "I am not aware" water cooling or "I am not aware."
I am appalled by the fact that people then proceed to anonymously bombard me or Igor with a multitude of threatening emails and the most derogatory remarks, utilizing newly created email accounts specifically for this purpose. This behavior is completely unacceptable and must be addressed immediately. I am absolutely outraged by the fact that someone has the audacity to call me or Igor using a suppressed number on my phone. Up until the current date, I have received a total of over 400 phone calls and over 600 emails, and the overall outlook seems to be more favorable for Igor based on the available information.
Insults on the web are totally unacceptable. There is no space for discussion, there is nothing more to be said about it. I always try to make it clear to people, especially when it comes to insults, that we are all reviewers, people, YouTubers, humans who live normal lives and may also take the comments to heart. However, I've received a total of 400 phone calls and 600 emails. Also, I must mention that I've already experienced many shitstorms or dramas on YouTube and in social media. And it's always the same, how it generally goes. If there is a critical video like this, then it has consequences. It is imperative to be aware of these consequences. In the video that came before, however, the word and the name Pascal were never mentioned from my side or perspective. None of you viewers were aware of that? I am confident. And if, for example, you go to Pascal's YouTube channel where the statement was uploaded and you watch the last video, the video does not have a single dislike from any viewer. And I can tell you one thing, if you make a mistake on the internet and get a public critique video, there are always people who go somewhere, write stupid comments, dislike it, and there's nothing you can do to change that. You can delete comments, but not dislikes. If you have no dislikes on your video, then you also didn't receive 400 calls and 600 emails either. This is utopian and it's just a lie. By the way, I wrote that to Pascal and then I said, you can prove it to me, just send me a screenshot of the 400 calls or emails. In 2 mins, otherwise you could Photoshop something. Do you think there was another response? Of course not.
Feel free to share this video. I'll keep the comment function open separately for the haters out there who are squealing and quacking again and have no clue. You now have the opportunity to express your thoughts freely and openly in the comments section of this video. Do it! Go for it! Have fun! You can share this video, spread it everywhere, it's allowed. Show me. Maybe it has finally brought something if someone really speaks openly and says how things are. Do it, do it. I'd be glad if you share this vid and maybe someone gets the idea, oh no, maybe everything was just a bit overreacted.
This is definitely not aged well because at this point in time, the video is officially no longer available on Pascal's page, but he clearly said that I should spread it and people should comment on it and form their own opinion. He spread it in all forums, posted on PC Games Hardware, Hardware Logs, and so on. I don't know what to say about it. This is so catastrophic. The problem is not that such a serious mistake was made at Igor's lab, which also has consequences because so many people have pre-ordered. It is the catastrophic handling of everything. Truly, the crisis management of it is incredibly, unbelievably, shockingly bad. I simply don't know what to say about that. When it comes to tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of euros, and money from customers who receive products that do not correspond to reality, and you don't care at all and still insist on your opinion for some reason that cannot be proven technically in any way, then it is simply an irresponsibility and an inability to accept criticism that I believe I have never experienced in our industry before. And Pascal, someone like you, has no place in this industry with this attitude. I might also be biased in certain things. I possess my own entanglements due to the fact that I have my own company. I always strive to do everything to the best of my knowledge. If there's an error, I work hard to compensate and make amends for it. And that is all that would have been expected from you. It is easy to say, hey, you are right. Something is incorrect with our test. We take the test offline, we test again, in a different manner, not in this box, but simply in a different way, and observe the outcome. No one would have blamed you for that, because mistakes occur. But to insist on that knowingly after weeks and months, that is not possible. This is completely unacceptable. As I previously mentioned, I will include all sources below, such as forum posts, statements, etc. If you have any concerns, then you are more than welcome to form your own opinion. Personally, I find it really bad and disheartening that this is being done in such a manner. This is not acceptable from Pascal in any way. It is absolutely not acceptable that Igor does not even try to intervene, and then also tells me that he cannot do anything against such a statement made by Pascal, who should take responsibility for his actions. He later wrote to me, confirming that it's now private, but only after I made a significant fuss about it. And for me, the question always is, are you afraid that I will produce such a video? And the outcome, of course, is that I produce such a video because I will definitely not conceal or suppress such a problem, because it is undeniably catastrophic and highly detrimental for the customer. It's simply about reputation, and that's exactly what Igor is currently jeopardizing, which is extremely unfortunate because when Igor does something himself, it simply makes sense. He knows how to test, he does it himself. And the problem is, he didn't do it himself. But then to admit to oneself that it didn't work, not to do it oneself and simply to say, yeah, something went wrong with us. I'll test it myself once more and get back to you. That would have been the way to do it. And also from AlphaCool's side, I don't know. I also don't know from other manufacturers what should be done there, because now you also have to consider the AlphaCool Core 1 water cooling test, which I think is now offline, because I also know that there is a lot of dissatisfaction from other water cooling manufacturers, Watercool or whoever, because the test does not correspond to reality. We tested Core 1 ourselves. No, it's probably one of the best water coolers on the market. This is undisputed, a really good part, but not to extent stated in Igor's lab article, also made by Pascal. And AlphaCool, I truly appreciate you, you know that. I recently had a conversation with the boss regarding this, and I genuinely like him on a personal level. I also wish AlphaCool all the best, just that you somehow come out of the situation reasonably. And from my situation, or from my point of view, it is simply necessary to communicate sensibly. Logically, people who may no longer want to pre-order, of course, to refund that, to say, we cancel here. I don't even know how it is, whether fans have already been sent at all. If none was sent, that's fine anyway. Then you can simply say, make a statement, and whoever, yes, maybe now no longer gets what was promised at the beginning, simply refund the money. Then it is relatively easy to solve from AlphaCool's side. And then perhaps you need to consider how to prevent such occurrences in the future, ensuring that something of this nature does not happen again. If you rely on a person who does a preliminary test, and it is extraordinary, something like this happens in an unexpected manner. And that is not good. So much for a follow-up to my Apex fan, which is actually not that bad, funny enough. I am disappointed with the outcome. It's a shame that the sequel didn't live up to my expectations. The problem is only the expectation. If we hadn't had the Igor Slab article beforehand, with the outrageous promises that were made there, then I'm sure the fan would have been perceived completely differently. Then he would have been neutral to well received. One would have said, yeah, it's a good fan, quiet, solidly built, awesome accessories, just as I perceive it. Because at this moment, strangely, the fan ends up being the greatest loser in the entire situation. Because obviously things like that, you remember them and they have a very negative impact. Thank you for watching. Inform me of your thoughts on the matter.